Oyo was founded around 1300 by Oranmiyan, a prince of Ile-Ife and the youngest son of Oduduwa, the progenitor of the Yoruba people. Legend says, Oranmiyan set out on a military expedition but was stopped by a supernatural sign. He followed a magic snake sent by a friendly chief, where the snake disappeared into the ground for 7 days. He founded Oyo-Ile, Old Oyo. He became the first Alaafin, meaning owner of the palace. In the early 16th century, Oyo was still a modest state. Around 1535, the neighboring Nupe, Tapa, people invaded and sacked Oyo-Ile. The reigning Alaafin and his court were forced to flee to Borgu, and later to Igboho. This period of exile was a turning point. Instead of fading away, the Oyo leadership used this time to reinvent their military. They adopted cavalry, horses, which was perfectly suited for the open savannah lands of northern Yorubaland. Under Alaafin, Oranmiyan, the first to use the cavalry effectively, and later rulers, Oyo reclaimed its capital and began a massive expansion. Their iron cavalry became the terror of West Africa. They could strike faster and harder than any infantry-based neighbor. By the 1740s, Oyo had defeated the kingdom of Dahomey, modern-day Benin, forcing them to pay an annual tribute of slaves, textiles, and livestock. Oyo controlled the major trade routes between the Sahara and the Atlantic. They traded textiles, leather, and salt, but also became heavily involved in the transatlantic slave trade, which brought in firearms and immense wealth. The Oyo government was a constitutional monarchy long before the term was popularized in Europe. Power was split between three main bodies: the Alaafin, the supreme ruler, seen as a companion of the gods. However, he was not an absolute dictator. The Oyo-Mesi, a council of 7 high-ranking chiefs led by the Basharan, prime minister. They could reject an Alaafin they deemed unfit. The Ogboni, a secret society of elders and priests who mediated between the Alaafin and the Oyo-Mesi to ensure neither became too powerful. The empty calabash. If the Oyo-Mesi felt the Alaafin had failed, the Basharan would present him with an empty calabash or parrot's eggs. This was a symbolic way of saying, the people reject you by custom. The Alaafin was then expected to commit ritual suicide. Late 18th to 19th century, the empire's collapse was caused by a perfect storm of internal rot and external pressure. Internal rivalry. In the late 1700s, an ambitious Basharan named Ga usurped power, installing and killing 4 Alaafins in a row. This destabilized the central government. The Ara Ona Kakanfo, generalissimo, of the army, Afonja, rebelled against Alaafin Aioli. He sought help from Fulani jihadists to gain independence for his city, Ile-Ife. The Fulani jihad. The alliance backfired. The Fulani eventually killed Afonja, took over Ile-Ife, and used it as a base to launch attacks on the rest of Oyo. By 1835, Old Oyo was sacked and abandoned. The population fled south, eventually founding the modern city of Oyo, New Oyo, under Alaafin Adaba. But the great empire was gone. The legacy of Oyo lives on today through the Alaafin of Oyo, who remains one of the most prestigious traditional rulers in Nigeria. Lamidi Adeyemi was born on October 15, 1938, into the Alowoladu royal house. He was the son of Alaafin Adeniran Adeyemi II. While he was born into royalty, his childhood was far from easy. In 1954, when Lamidi was only a teenager, his father was deposed and exiled by the regional government, with Chief Obafemi Awolowo and the Action Group. This, following a bitter political rivalry, was a massive humiliation for the lineage, and the young prince grew up in exile in Lagos, far from the palace he was born in. Because his family was in exile, Lamidi had to make his own way. He was a man of many contrasts. He became a competitive boxer in Lagos, known for his speed and discipline. He often said that boxing taught him the mental toughness he needed to survive political battles later in life. Before the throne called, he worked as an insurance clerk at the Royal Exchange, Assurance in Lagos. He was a modern, working-class professional who happened to have the blood of ancient emperors. When the previous Alaafin, Badageshan Ladigbalu II, passed away, the race for the throne was intense. There were many contenders, but Lamadai emerged as the choice of the Oyo-Messi, the kingmakers. On November 18, 1970, at the age of 31, he was chosen as the 44th Alaafin. He was officially crowned on January 14, 1971. This was a historic moment. It brought the Alaawoladu family back from exile and restored them to their throne after nearly 2 decades of being outsiders. Oba Lamadai Adeyemi III, often called Iku Barbaye, became the longest reigning Alaafin in modern history, ruling for 51 years until his passing in 2022. He was famous for he was a walking encyclopedia of Yoruba history and could quote ancient treaties and constitutional laws from memory. He balanced the ancient rituals of the Oyo Empire with the realities of modern Nigerian politics. Even in his 80s, the boxing king was famous for his morning workouts and remained remarkably agile, often seen skipping rope or hitting the heavy bag. In the end, the Alaafin is more than a man. He is a living bridge between the ancestors and the unborn. To call him Iku Barbaye is to acknowledge that he holds the power of life, the wisdom of a father, and the nurturance of a mother. Empires rise and fall, but the crown of Oranmiyan remains a symbol of a people who refuse to forget who they are. The king is dead. Long live the Alaafin. From the throne of Oyo to your screen. Thanks for watching. If you vibe with the history of the Iku Barbaye, make sure to follow, like, and share this out. Drop a air in the comments if you're proud of your roots. Catch you in the next chapter.